Let me rephrase. For everyone else who's listening, to me, gratitude is a way to cut the crap and be grateful for what the fuck you have already instead of craving everything else that you don't have.
Mouna, when I first heard about your memoir, Love No Crumbs, all I could think of was Monica Geller. You watch Friends, right? Because if you didn't, this is going to be a strange reference. And how like she hates crumbs. So, what's your deal with crumbs?
I love that. And I do feel that I had to harness my inner Monica when I moved to Thailand, because I've literally I realized that I wasn't supposed to be an OCD person or that obsessed with cleaning, but past 4 here, there's absolutely nothing. So you really have to be on the top of your game. And I've been Monica the past 2 weeks, cleaning 3 hours a day.
And before we went live, I did actually, you said I wanted to move my sofa around and I couldn't get over how neat your cushions were. So yeah, I'm definitely sensing the inner Monica Geller. So tell me about your memoir and why Love No Crumbs.
Yeah. Well, I didn't invent the term, to be honest. I've read it many times. I don't even know if we know the source of who really brought that expression, but it comes from the fact that when you get attached in certain relationship and certain attachment styles in relationships in general, there's a certain style that tends to get attached, even if they are given crumbs of affection or attention. And there's this concept of loving no crumbs being, you deserve the full cake. You should not love any crumbs that is given to you by life, by people, or even by yourself. You owe it to yourself to give yourself the full cake and to take the full cake that is life and not settle for anything less than what you deserve. So that's where the concept came from after my breakup, when I started writing this memoir of crawling out of burnout, depression, redundancies, breakup, all that life can gift you in one go.
Yeah.
I was just I remember I was speaking to my therapist and she was I was repeating these crumbs, how I was feeding on crumbs of nothing. And, you starve yourself of love and self-love. And she was like, wow, crumbs is such a beautiful term. And that's how I got the title.
I love that. Out of curiosity, what's your favorite cake?
Oof, it's definitely a section that you might want to edit because I have absolutely no bloody clue. I'm more of a savory person.
Nice. So you're more of a pastry kind of girl, right?
I'm more of a venison or ostrich kind of girl. Ask me my favorite meat. I would tell you the country.
Go on, and what's your favorite meat?
So I'd say number 1, ostrich. Number 2,
wow. Yeah.
3, venison. And then after you have the standard beef, certain beef cuts and everything that is juicy and has a strong taste. I'm a big fan of game.
Nice. Wow. I love that. We've gone from crumbs straight into the meat of this podcast.
Yeah. It's the crumbs of a Wellington.
Yeah. So tell me then, how did you come about being in that moment of you're creating a memoir? Obviously I know you said there's a bit of a backstory. Have you always wanted to write a book or memoir or has it always been where did that all kind of stem from?
Yeah, I think it was my form of expression. Since I was a child, I would journal a lot. I always had not necessarily these kiddie journals, like a pink book with a little lock on it. I was writing too much for those. So if I ever was gifted one, it would run out and I'd just write on notebooks. have like all of them piled up like in one of my drawer in my room. So it was my form of expression. I grew up as an only child, and the fact was, I guess, apparently I wasn't very open with my parents. Like, the type of child you ask them, how was school? And it's like, yeah, good.
Hmm.
I was very talkative. Today, we understand that it was due to certain childhood trauma, but back then, writing was my way of expression and a way to express things like in total safety, what I could feel like and enjoy the process of expressing myself. And I would
Yeah.
express like my thoughts, my imaginations, my fantasies, and everything on paper.
Um, I was also an only child, and I'm a bit of a believer that the how did you say you used to respond? Like, how was your day? And you would say,
Yeah, right. Like monosyllables,
yeah. So I grew up in a similar kind of situation where I was an only child. And again, similar kind of thing. Like we talked about traumas before. I know we've had similar conversations in the past, but I got to the age of 40, and suddenly it wasn't until not long after we lost our dog, I actually realized I was grieving the death of my sister who I'd never met. And I didn't realize that you could grieve the loss of someone you'd never met before. And as an only child, it was a very similar thing for me. I was very kind of, very monotone, kind of like, yep, no. Um, I also think there's a lot to do with that obviously things that our parents have maybe been conditioned in and go through and so forth. And I've spoken about this a lot with regards to how people ask those questions. And for me, as a dad now, I definitely don't say, "Did you have a good day?" because it's just a yes no answer. And I've done an Instagram reel about this, which was like, asking my daughter like, what was the worst thing that happened at school today? What was the funniest thing that happened at school today? And like really kind of exploring that creativity of like her conversation, because you've just said it like so beautifully in the sense of it's just that like yes, no, like, do you know what I mean? Is there like a part for you that sees that your parents maybe sometimes didn't ask you the way that you probably they could have got you to kind of open out more as a child?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's normal. And even today, it's normal for new generations of parents not to you know, have it right. I hate
Yeah,
using this word.
nearly.
There's
Yeah.
no perfect recipe of how to be a parent. You can only learn from your own experience, learn from book, ask people.
Hmm.
And regarding my own parents, yeah, of course, they did lots of mistakes. They've contributed to some trauma, but it also gave me other things, right? Certain values, certain sense of safety today that I couldn't appreciate as a child because there's also the perception of things.
Hmm.
Um, and I think in terms of expression is really because they were not aware of certain type of abuse that had gone through, they couldn't have known possibly what to do with this child that was actually in self-defense mode, in survival
Mm,
mode for very young age. And I think they didn't have also the knowledge about the impact of all the different type of abuse can have on young children. There was not such thing as child development psychology that was shared with adults of their generations. It was not a common thing. And I think even in like certain countries or regions, psychologists today are very much recognized, but you can still find some people who don't believe in psychology or in therapy
mm,
or believe that it's like some weird thing. So I think it's, yeah, in all fairness, no, they didn't have any NLP training to learn how to ask the right questions. And I think we should learn these kind of things at school. I think from
mm,
a very young age, we should have, maybe in biology, we should understand how our own feelings and our own brain works. We should understand and learn about language. We should understand about linguistic. We should understand about neuroscience. We should understand about hormones. because
Yeah.
all these things that are happening in our bodies, especially as young teenagers, would give us, like, this is something that would give us so much more understanding about ourselves and so much more
Mm.
awareness. So
I
yeah.
I think communication is something that has definitely improved over the years. Even, you know, men talking, women talking, parents talking. And I had a guest on a podcast a little while ago, and we were talking about, like, she would never have had a conversation with her mum about menopause, but yet her and her daughters talk about menopause all the time. So it's that generational growth. Do you know what I mean? Of like, I mean, I'm using menopause as an example, but like that kind of conversations that we have now. I think communication is like a massive, massive element. I wanna ask you a question, and this is something that I always love about you, because even when you send me a WhatsApp, it's like, "Good morning, resilient sunshine." Where did resilience kind of like come into your life and come into your story?
I think it's a good question. The resilient sunshine for sure comes from the sunshine bit is just like this cliche of good morning, sunshine, and is really playing up on the cliche. Why not play up with the cliche? You know, almost giving a middle finger to toxic positivity and
Yeah.
being like, yeah, I'm going to be positive because I can. And I
Mhm.
can call someone sunshine because they are, but also why not? You know,
Mhm.
they don't need to be a dick.
Yeah.
Um, and the resilience part came from my journey, especially around what I've learned with growth mindset. I was very set in a fixed mindset. I thought that I was a victim of some sort, and or the victim mentality was keeping me grounded in my situation. So life was happening to me and not
Mhm.
for me. And
Mhm.
seeing that I would never learn anything new. This is what it is. This is my life. Even if my relationship wasn't like that great, I accepted it. I was very attached to the goals that I had set with it. Even if work wasn't fulfilling, I accepted it. I just
Mhm.
couldn't see myself changing careers. And when I opened up to the work around the growth mindset, there was an opportunity to public speak in a previous company I worked for. And I saw the topic, and it was how to succeed with a growth mindset. And I've researched the work around it. And this is where, like, I was like, oh my God, yeah. Like, you could choose literally to look at the glass half full instead of looking at it half empty. And you can take risk. You have the power to change your day, your hour, your minute. Just, it's your choice. You can't choose what's happening to you, but you can choose how to react to it. And as
Mm.
part of the growth mindset, there's resilience, because grit is, in Carol Dweck words, one of the component of the growth mindset. And that's what have inspired the name of my company, the Grit Makers. What has inspired everything that I do is this idea of construction workers, where we deconstruct our mind's conditioning and we rebuild healthy foundations for people to have that thing that gels all parts of us with within us and with others.
Again, kind of almost the way it almost comes back to the cake again, right? And the
Yeah,
ingredients.
yeah.
When you say that, like the grit, and it's like as soon as you say grit to me, it's like grit, determination. But it doesn't have to be like in an aggressive form, right? It can be in a like kind of like a really kind of beautiful kind of way. It feels a little bit like you were almost in an acceptance storm cloud, and now you've gone to a resilient sunshine. It kind of feels like that's your like your shift. How and you then kind of now you're doing what you're doing. How are you kind of putting that out into the universe of kind of like who you're working with, and how you're doing what you're doing with people now?
It's doing your best to take them on their own journey and making them accept that when you're in survival mode, you don't really realize it. And you're in fight mode most of the time. You fight or avoid or freeze. And you're still in that thing where shit is happening to you.
Hmm.
And then slowly actually is accepting that, dropping the armor, this preconceived an idea of resilience that we talked about, like in our lives and many conversations, of this thing of to go hard, toughen up. That toughen up serves you when you're a child and you have to go and grow into the adult you are. And then when you're the wonderful adult you are, you don't need this armor all the time. So it starts crippling you. Actually, that armor starts like almost choking you. And that's what generates all these like conflicting feelings and frustrations. And it's by surrendering to the softness and starting to give ourselves a little more self-love, uh,
Mm,
and embracing that softness, that you can find that the true resilience, like I like to call it. You have the preconceived idea and you have the reality, because in reality, resilience has to be fluid and flexible in order to be really efficient. In order to adapt to your environment, we're very adaptive animals. You need that flexibility, which means
yeah.
you need toughness. If you're always hard and tough, like you're just going to bang your head against the walls.
I think I love that word softness, because I feel like you've just said there, it is that, I mean, as men are meant to be, tough, mighty, um, men don't cry, apparently. Um, but I think there is something really beautiful in the sense of kind of going back to that, like, understanding, and going back to what we were talking about with the biology and the kids and going through school, is like understanding like where your emotions are, why they're there, and like really kind of being able to kind of embrace them in that moment. I speak about magic isn't found in perfection quite a lot, and I think it doesn't have to be the way that like it's written in the book. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we get this kind of outside influence. Is there an outside influence that you had, like, that shifted your whole perspective from where you were to where you are now? Or is there something that like you you did like?
Yeah, there are many. I think what's difficult is to pinpoint one
Mhm.
specific thing. We talk about pivotal moments, but I think that's more to do with marketing, because we want to make people think that it's so easy to change.
I love
That's
this.
the aha moment. But
Mhm.
actually, it took me years to get to what I'm at today. I'm not
Mhm.
talking business wise, just on a
Mhm.
human level, to get the handle on certain type of triggers and emotions, which I'm still working on.
Mhm.
Really took years to get to that awareness, and it took multiple different influences. Um,
Mm.
in terms of, I don't know, if I was to speak about motivational speakers, I really don't necessarily like the guy, but I've watched Tony Robbins' documentary way
Mhm.
before this experience with the growth mindset. And one of his live coaching experience hit a nerve and really sparked a desire to fix the relationship with my dad. And
Was
I,
that on the Netflix one that he did?
yeah,
Yeah, that was a great fun.
that was like literally I could really relate. The girl with like parents that are separated, and the dad almost inexistent, like he died for to her, he was dead to her, and then he make her call him and tell him that she loves him, and it was like the kind of like reconnection they were all
Mm.
looking for. um it's kind of like was a similar adventure and journey that I've also been on. I think we talk about these big events like the breakup or redundancy or even burnout, but they are all like kind of a symptom that makes you realize how much you've like lost part of yourself or sight of parts of
Mm.
yourself. And they're not necessarily meaning that you're broken. I don't think we are broken and we need to heal in that sense. I still use the healing term, but do think that sometimes when you go to these events, they're kind of also a trigger for you to look back and see what you can do better and differently. And I'm very grateful that, yeah, maybe it took decades, but I can now say that I have a healthier, much healthier relationship with my dad, which I do think is serving me in my relationships with others. Because at the end of
Mm.
the day, we crave and we try to fix in toxic relationships. We try to fix the original relationships that we didn't have with our parents.
Yeah, I hate that word fix for so many reasons. I mean, poor Coldplay, there's nothing wrong with the song, but whenever I hear that on the radio, I'm like, I just want to say, like, I will try to fix you. Fuck off. Don't try and fix anyone because it's not your job. And no one, and most people don't need fixing. They just need, I think, seeing a vision from their eyes and kind of seeing a different vision than they potentially are looking at. You you just said something then, which is like a really it's one of the biggest things for me, because when people talk about the epiphany bridge and the and so forth and that kind of pivotal moment, I talk about my pivotal moment quite a lot, and that my pivotal moment for me was standing there with my wife, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore, and she thought I meant a divorce, and I was like, no, I fucking burnt out, I'm done. Um, but the one thing you did say there was you were so grateful. And for me, gratitude has been practicing gratitude on a daily basis has been something that I'm so passionate about. And it was only yesterday that you put a post out about gratitude. And I on a in a more in the morning I always do a gratitude meditation of some description. So for you then, how does gratitude kind of come into your life? Because I don't know about, like, I don't know about you, but when being the fact that we've done the NLP work and I've done a lot of NLP work, as soon as I said the word gratitude, then you just lit up, and I was like, okay, cool. So like,
Yeah.
what is this? What does the whole thing with gratitude mean for you?
I love also your meditations, because each it, there's so many ways to see gratitude,
Hmm.
and always miss an angle. I think we vulgarized it so much. It's very used in religion, but
Mm,
outside of religion, it's kind of made like this practice that is kind of like super difficult to master. But for me, it's been life-saving. And in the sense where I really tend to catastrophize things. And gratitude is what brings me back to center. Where it's like what grounds me. Let me rephrase. For everyone else who's listening, to me, gratitude is a way to cut the crap and be grateful for what the fuck you have already instead of craving everything else that you don't have. Because when you
mm,
have something that doesn't go as planned, we get into that scarcity mode, into the bitching mode. Oh my God, this didn't go as I want, and life always is like this, and blah, 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 and whining, and complaining. And sometimes it can be very shit. Yeah, you can have a bad accident, you can have like really bad things happen to you. But there's always one thing, at least one thing that you can be grateful for. And if you focus on that thing, I can guarantee you your day, your hour, your minute would be so much better. And in
mm,
that space, you get, you recollect yourself. You get that breather to move forward. And
mm,
it's really a breather. I get through phases where I get to deep anxieties still when I have like too many stuff that are coming onto my plate and I'm super stressed. But even if I forget for 7 days, for 10 days, whenever I go back to my journal and I have my gratitude prompts or to a practice, I feel it. So when I get into this loop, I'm just like, okay, today I'm going to find 21 things I'm grateful for. I'm going to find
wow.
things I'm grateful for. And my secret is to be very specific. Like the challenge we were talking about, what I'm shooting at the moment is like 21 days of specific gratitude. So you don't be general, like, oh, I'm grateful to be alive. Yeah, fuck that. How are you really going to feel gratitude for being alive if deep down you feel your life is shit?
Mm,
So I like to be very specific. What is that one thing you're grateful for when everything goes to shit? And sometimes for having had like these bad issues with my tendonitis, not allowing me to run, I'm grateful that I can stand on my legs and go for a walk just to
Yeah.
literally get fresh air, because I'd go
Mm.
mad otherwise. And
Yeah.
something taken for granted for super long until you get issues and you get reminded of how important your health is. So gratitude is a way to keep you in check before you need to lose everything else to remember to be grateful for it.
Yeah. And it is one of those things, isn't it? That when we do so often tend to kind of, oh, how was your day? Oh, it was amazing. How was your holiday? It was amazing, but we had this one meal and it was shit. And like people aren't grateful for the things that were amazing. They focus on the one thing that was shit. And I am a terrible one for suddenly coming home and going, oh my God, I can't believe that happened on the way home, but forgot about the whole day that I had. So we're going to go into a new year in literally like a few days. What is your Have you got like a ritual? Have you got like a thing that you do at the end of each year? Do you box it up and throw it the fuck away? Do you write about your grateful moments? What do you do at the end of the year and to start your new year?
I like to go to bed at 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Yeah, and I miss the countdown and stuff, and I'm fast asleep comfortably. Um, what I've noticed is trying to go against the grain. The past few years, I've had this beautiful New Year's Eve practice that a mindfulness teacher is having every New Year, which I have. You go sit down for 2-3 hours. It's live, and you jot down your goals, and you have meditations together, and you kind
Hmm.
of like, it's called Manifest New Year. So you get onto the session, and it's a very beautiful practice. I'm not sure I will do it this year, um, because I've just decided to shift my new year. So the past couple of years, I set my vision board and goals in October. So kind of like school year, and my birthday is the 2nd of September. So the school year is my year. And that's how I manage my cycles. And it removes that pressure, this end of year pressure, the new year pressure, which means I might be a little more stressed up in October, but at least my energy doesn't get in the way of everybody else's energy. And I feel like when you're all trying to do the same thing at the same time and you're all obsessed about the same thing, you kind of like cannibalize each other energy. Everyone is like stressed about gift wrapping. Everyone then gets stressed about the holiday, the great things that they bring, but the stressful thing that they bring. And then
Mm.
New Year, everyone is like trying to pretend they're keeping up with their goals. And then 2-3 weeks in, everyone is realizing they can't keep up with their goals and go back into their bad habits that they had.
That's why the gym is empty on the 1st of February, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like so much more enjoyable. So yeah, I think my ritual is way before it. My end of year is here to prepare for what I've set myself to do in October. And it makes it a little more enjoyable, I would say.
I love that. That's just such a dynamic shift, isn't it? Because like that's almost like when everyone else is in the chaos, you're in the calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
amazing.
It's a way to really enjoy differently the holiday, and also a way to enjoy the going back to work, and a way to enjoy well, I don't have a going back to work. I don't like seasonality. That's why I've chosen to live in the heat all year long.
Yeah, so that's a big. Well, you say that you went from Morocco to Bangkok, right?
Yeah, I was in London for 12 years, and
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's cold there.
yeah, I left in order to I've always been escaping winter as much as I could. And I left in order to find a new home that could be warmer in all possible senses that you can take about the word warm.
Have you seen the documentary about the blue zones?
No, what was
Oh,
that about?
yeah, I think it's on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore. We got rid of Netflix. But there was a documentary on there all about the blue zones and all the places where people live longest, and one of them was not one of them was in England. um,
Yeah.
there's something that's just happened in my mind right now, and if it's all right with you, I want to change my question. I said to you, what you're going to do? What's your plan for the new year? What you're going to do? But on the 2nd of February, when everyone's not going to the gym anymore because they've fucking given up, that'll be 6 months into your year. So what do you do at your halfway point? Do you reflect on the year so far? How does that work?
uh, no, because I feel like I'm ahead. So if I have a new habit, usually by then it's very solidified. So when I started running around September, October. When I stopped smoking, I stopped in September, October. When I stopped drinking, that actually was a little earlier, but it was about June, which is mid-year. So by the time we get to February, I can already have something to pat myself on the back from. And I think that's very useful because I'm still in the middle of everyone else's seasonality. So I probably still have to deal with events picking back up. I still have to host new things, and I'm still having events in line with what people want to do. And I still have clients who want to focus on what they want to achieve that year. But at least it gives me energy then. 2nd of February, I can check on being like, wow, this has been 6 months. I've completely embraced this new habit. In 6 months, you can run a marathon from couch to marathon at that time.
I mean, it'll probably take me 6 months to run a marathon. I'm not going to lie. Never
I
been
would,
a massive running fan.
of course, it depends on everyone's level of fitness. Take it easy. But yeah, I think that's what's important is really the energy you bring into the room as well. And by energy, it's not like anything whimsical here. It's like, what is the mental state you're in? Because that reflects on what you do. If you have like a gratitude session when you wake up and you're more open, more calm, more grateful, then if you have a board meeting, you're more likely to make a decision from a grounded place. If you wake up in the morning, you step on a Lego, you, you go and you rush and you're screaming at your child to do something, and then you have something else and you don't have any break, then you get to work and you probably had an argument about who's going to pick up the child after work. Of course, it's stressful. So it's literally the same way. Like I'm working with people. Like if I can give myself a little love, then it gives me much more capacity to hold space for others and their goals when it comes to February.
I love that. I love that. How can people find out more about what you do, where to find you? Obviously, the Grit Makers podcast that's on YouTube, Spotify, right?
Yeah. On YouTube and Spotify is the Grit Makers. And everywhere else, it's Mouna Laaragat. Have the website also, gritmakers.com. But yeah, the best way is find me on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Substack. I'm everywhere. It's very hard to miss me. So
Love that. Mino, I've got one more thing to ask you before we finish. And it's my favorite question because some people get a little bit like, oh, okay. But if you already knew the answer, what would be the question?
if I already knew the answer, be the question. It's a very interesting one, isn't it?
I love it because it's so open for interpretation.
Yeah. And I think, so I don't have I have an answer. And my clear answer is that we always have the answer, and quite often we ask ourselves certain questions because we have the answer. We think we're asking ourselves the questions, but it's kind of like already conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need that different perspectives sometimes to go dig the answer that we need. We have all the answers, most of the answers about ourselves, about our needs, they are within. But quite often we're not asking that question to pull it out. And the questions that we ask ourselves are linked to what we're conditioned to. So I think way more often than not, we're asking ourselves questions because we know the answer instead of asking ourselves questions because we don't know, because it's scary not to know.
Ooh, wow. That was fire. Mouna, thank you so much. One last thing, because I don't know the answer, and this is just purely for selfish reasons. When do you think the memoir? I nearly said the memoir. That was right. That was wrong, wasn't it? When do you think the memoir will be finished and out?
I think first half of this coming year, but I am not forcing it. I really want it to be. It's not perfectionism. I just gotta do a lot of writing, but also do a lot of businessing in the meantime, and it takes its time. But hopefully next year should be able to have the hardcover in between your hands.
Oh, nice. Mouna, thank you so much. I really, really grateful for one, this chat, two, your friendship this year, because you've been an absolute support in my world. I'm really looking forward to following you more on your journey and seeing what comes next.
And that wraps up today's episode of the Coffee, Chaos and Confidence podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure you like and subscribe. It helps other listeners find the show. Also, go and check out the show notes to learn more about my incredible guests. Until next time, make sure you chase your dreams without limitations.